You've been at that position of advisory as early as the Second Republic. I remember that, when you were about the age, before the age of 30, you were advising the president at that time. You understand the development, the political development of this country. Where did we get it wrong that this particular problem seems to be so much of a toothache that we find difficult to remove?
I think there was a fundamental error in 1998. I have a lot of regard for a lot of the people who navigated things. I think it was still, and I'll tell General Abdul Salam Abubakar that it was still a big mistake what he did in 98.
Handing over?
Rushing just to get out. We were the ones who put the military, put their backs to the wall with concerned professionals and all of us. And we expected them to run, and they ran. But it should have been an orderly retreat. And I know world powers had advised them to retreat in a more orderly way, but they just wanted to run. And in just wanting to run, the political class in Nigeria was not quite sure that they were gone for good. What happened was the space was left open for those who are not traditional real leaders. And because most of the real leaders wondered if things were ready. And another fundamental error, what constituted the civil society that chased out the military, and people like myself thought, okay, our job is done. Let these politicians go and then do big mistake. Once these wrong people seized the political space, and because accountability was weak, they pillaged the Nigerian state, consolidated financially. Nigeria has been a mess since then.
If you at that moment, if you are put on the spot to advise the president or the leadership of this country today on where to go and how to go about this particular situation that we are in, what would be the very first thing that you would say?
I would say that this is not the time for false pride. You see, true leaders, real true leaders, accept the moment and go for it by humbling themselves to engage. I get young people all the time to try and watch Abraham Lincoln, or Lincoln, the film. President Lincoln was one of the great transforming leaders of all times. And what you see when you watch in that depiction in the film Lincoln is a man who, with a great heart for his country, wanting things to go in a particular direction, ridiculed by all, not all, the traditional powers that be, comes before a Congress and he's taunted and called the son of a shoemaker. And our proud people who have come from nowhere would say, who do you think you're talking to? Lincoln said, well, my father may have been a shoemaker, but nobody ever complained about the quality of the shoe that he fixed.
Interesting.
And he humiliated them by humbling himself. And he was able to guide America to claim his promise. This is a moment to shed false pride, to shed all kinds of things, and just think 170 million people whose future is being put on the line because political actors can't act right. Once that can settle into the heads of the political leadership, we'll find the shared values to enable us move forward. Once people can focus not on themselves, on me, myself, and I, but on those young girls who are missing in Chibok, those kids who can go to school in some part of Nigeria, those people who are so poor that they are kidnapping others just to get something. We can build one of the most prosperous societies this side of human history.
Interesting. You sure are an expert in the issue of leadership. But just hold the thought, Prof. We'll go for a short break, and when we return, I'll be asking Professor Utomi about that particular situation that happened in Abuja. The protesters, the Bring Back Our Girls protesters who went to the government house, the Aso Rock Villa, and wanting to speak with the president, but they were not allowed to speak with the president. Instead, some government officials actually spoke with them. They had some opinions about what the matter is. We'll talk about that, and it will describe to me the leadership of Nigeria in the face of the insurgency. We'll take a short break and be right back.
Today of the world's a stage, but tomorrow you're a star. Sing along, let your voice reach. Be the voice of tomorrow. In your dreams are witnesses, your moment.
Discover the voice of tomorrow as Etisalat brings you Nigerian Idol this season.
Etisalat, now you're talking.
Thank you for staying with us. It's still Politics Today on Channels Television. And what we're talking about is the insurgency in Nigeria and Nigeria's government's efforts at ending that particular menace. I still have Professor Pat Utomi with me. Prof, in the week, the Bring Back Our Girls protesters they've been on the street for several days now. One of their moves is to go to Aso Rock Villa to speak with the president. They have so many questions on their mind, as some Nigerians do have too, but they were unable to see the president. Describe to me what your thoughts were when you saw that particular incident on television.
I cried for Nigeria. I thought it was a great opportunity to be a president. If I were president, I would wear the red that they were wearing, walk out there, walking with them, cry with them, and tell them that as a father, I feel what they feel, and make a rousing speech to encourage the military in their bravery and gallantry to prove that our country still believed in some things pure. You would walk away from that moment a hero forever. I mean, think of someone like George W. Bush with his challenges. In the moment of apparent victory, certain to lose the next election, dons the combat gear, gets on this Air Force aircraft and lands on this carrier, and even him won the moment. I think our president was presented on a platter of gold an opportunity to truly be a commander-in-chief. And I think for some reason we lost it.
Today, President Obama paid a surprise visit to soldiers fighting in Afghanistan. What message do you think that can...
The American presidents do that fairly routinely. The British Prime Minister does that routinely, because those people are out there making that great sacrifice, and you are their leader, you are their commander-in-chief. I was also sad about this whole, is our president going to Chibok or not? Nobody should be announcing whether he's going or not. One day, with all the appropriate security and whatever needs to be, he will land in the middle of a zone of confrontation, rouse the troops, get back on his plane and fly back to Abuja. And the world will see a commitment. But right now, there's a disconnect between power and the people. There's a disconnect between the leadership and the military. There's a disconnect all around. And so it's easy for the world to wonder if something is wrong with us.
What do you think the Nigerian president or the presidency now, as an institution, should be doing that and not doing now?
Well, I think that maybe, unfortunately, we're a little far gone in this process of articulating the purpose of our generation. Really, what has happened is there's a failure of the political class. There's a failure of articulating, in the Frantz Fanon sense, the mission of this generation. And so we're just grabbing for all kinds of straws. What is power? what is all the perquisites that go with it, the sirens and all of that, if we can't connect it to a difference in the life of the ordinary person that is down there? If we can't, it's not worth it. I would walk away from any position of authority in which my humanity cannot be properly expressed in terms of a difference to the lives of ordinary people.
Describe to me the leadership of Nigeria in the face of this insurgency. We've been calling for support, foreign support. Now we're getting it. Lots of criticism on our military too. Do you think that is fair?
It's not a time to criticize or not criticize. In some ways, maybe the foreign engagement in this matter will expose us for what we really truly are to the world and help us begin to do some introspection. Because there's a lot of self-deceit in Nigeria. There's a lot of, living the lie. We've done that for so long. I mean, let's face it, people have been dying for years now. And it doesn't mean anything until we spend our money to invite the world to come and see us at the Economic Forum, and they found our underbelly. It really didn't matter. It was just 50 people died there. So who are 50 people who died? 100 people died there. In a country that wants to be respected, one person dies, and it is something. I'd like to give a few examples of this. And so it's not a problem of just now. It's been there. The way the dignity of the human person, human life, is undervalued in this culture, in this environment. Many years ago, there was an accident in Austria, cable car accident. I think 3 people died. Austria stopped, state mourning, flags at half-mast. Same week, there was an accident in Ibadan of some trailer tanker, running into a traffic created by some checkpoint. More than 200 and something people died. I don't think the Nigerian presidency even issued a statement that something happened in Nigeria. And Austria stopped. 3 versus 200 and something. In more recent times, we have seen again and again and again, dozens of Nigerians killed in these insurgencies, and there isn't as much as an acknowledgement from people in authority that something has gone wrong in Nigeria. It was not until pressure groups began to respond that some kind of, wait a minute, no, it's not our fault, blame games then start. That's not what it's about. Because if you really have your humanity intact, the death of any one Nigerian should diminish each of us immensely. It should even diminish more those who claim to lead us. And so I don't understand that people are engaged in these funny blame games. It's these people who are saying this or doing that.